Welcome to Inside City Hall, Series 2, Episode 4. We are coming to you from Inside Conservative Party Conference in Birmingham. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Neil. How's your conference been so far?
It's been pretty good, actually. But first, I think the big news, it would be fair to say that the big City Hall news of the last week actually was just before conference, on the eve of conference. Two bits of news, really. One was about the ULEZ consultation, which the Telegraph on Saturday broke a story that the mayor, or TfL, seemed to be cooking the numbers on the ULEZ consultation. The numbers leaked from a whistleblower, that the opposition to that had been enormous. And the other big piece of news was the meeting I sat in on Thursday, actually, where the Police and Crime Committee, we formally summoned the mayor to appear before us to explain his actions over the sacking of the previous Met Commissioner, Cressida Dick.
Yeah, and that's the first time that power's been used. So I think it's fair to say it's been a pretty bad week for Sadiq Khan. In fact, politically, I think you could probably say it's the worst week of his mayoralty so far.
Well, I think you're probably right. So on ULEZ, what was your lead spokesman on transport, Nick? What happened with these ULEZ?
I think what's happened is that we now know the results of the TfL consultation into whether ULEZ should be expanded to the whole of London, and that consultation has told us, I think, what we already know, which is that the opposition to expanding ULEZ is, to use the mayor's phrase, it's overwhelmingly negative.
It's about as popular as a hole in the head, isn't
Absolutely,
it? A lot of
absolutely.
Londoners.
And we know that because we've been going out and speaking to our residents. We've seen the petition that our group ran was the most successful petition the group has ever run against expanding ULEZ. And the consultation has been, as we've seen, leaked by people close to the consultation who are concerned about what's going on in that process. 66% of people are against the idea of expanding ULEZ. That is overwhelmingly negative.
And there were only 24% who were in favour, so there's actually a little chunk who were undecided. And I actually wonder whether some of them were not in favour, but somehow, if you remember back to the beginning, one of the points we were making when this consultation was running was that it was one of these now seem to be quite common consultations where it's quite difficult to give the answer that is not the answer they're looking for. There was like 24 questions in that consultation. It was very hard to find the one answer to the one question where you said you didn't want it.
Yes, I think
the fact that 66% of people managed to find that.
I agree. So that question 8, I think it was, where there was a question about what timeline would you like for ULEZ expansion. And one of the options was, I don't want it to happen. So
yes, and that was it. There wasn't a straight yes or no. Would you like it or not?
Yes, exactly.
And even despite that, only 24% of people managed to give a positive answer.
Yes.
And as I say, I've got a sneaking suspicion some of those others who are coded as undecideds or neutrals, probably some of those were not in favour either.
Yes.
But there was shenanigans, wasn't there? This was why the whistleblower released those figures.
So there's two strands to this story, which I think is going to run because there's a lot more going on that we haven't yet found out. We're launching an investigation to try and find out what's going on. But 66% was the headline figure, and somehow it seems that some consultation responses may have been improperly excluded from the final tally, which is down to about just under 60% of people opposed to it. Still overwhelmingly negative.
Yes.
But what we need to find
chipping
out...
away, though, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's it. What we need to find out is why these responses have been excluded. They do seem to be mostly from people who are opposed to ULEZ, and what we're kind of finding out is that it seems to be about one-click campaigns. There were, on both sides actually, pro-expansion and against expansion. There were groups who did one-click campaign to encourage people to share their views.
The irony, just on that, the irony of the fact that companies or campaign groups set those up, the actual if you actually went through the consultation like a normal human being, answering each question, clicking next, going through, it was like half a day's work.
Yes.
There was an enormous number of questions. Many of them weren't actually even about ULEZ, they were about road charging and other issues. So that's actually the reason why campaign groups who were arguing for or against created some of these one-clip campaigns because they wanted to create a way for people to actually express their view without taking half a day off work to fill in the mayor's consultation.
Exactly. And people who have taken the time to do that, their view is as valid as anyone else's. They were responding to a consultation, expressing a view. What we need. So I've written to the mayor, and I've asked for two things. I've asked to meet him, so we can. Talk about now he cannot possibly go ahead with ULEZ expansion. He said he wouldn't do it if there was overwhelming opposition. There is overwhelming opposition, so we need to talk about an actual plan for dealing with air quality, one that doesn't involve ULEZ expansion.
Well, if you remember at June's mayoral question time, I asked the mayor the question: what should somebody do if they can't afford the £12.50 daily charge and they can't afford a new car, but they need their car to get to work or to get around? And his answer was, they should fill in my consultation.
Yes.
Let me know, fill in my consultation. And I said, is it a genuine consultation? Will you really listen? He said he would.
Well, yeah.
So people did that.
Yes, they did indeed do that.